It is June the 16th, 2021. I'm Andy, and this is the Minorcan Mullet Report from the Golden Ray Rec Site in the St.simons Sound. And we got out today, and it looks to be more the same from what we saw yesterday, but we got a closer look at it. So here we go. Starting around the ship today, with a lot of people being moved around with the man basket off of the crane. Up and down the side of the ship, more equipment being moved around, and it's really looking like the project that's going to take place on top of the ship is going to be time-consuming, and it looks like it's going to be a massive amount of work that's done up there. We've got some pictures coming up from the other side, and we're going to try to explain all that, and we got some closer pictures of the equipment that we saw up there. Started trying to identify some of it. We might even get some help from some of you guys trying to identify some of the stuff that's up there as we get a closer look at it. That might be fun to add in the comments. But a lot of personnel moving around on top of the ship with the work that is beginning for the renewing of the steel, as we're told. It looks to us like a good bit of fabrication that's going to be taking place up there. We'll get around over there in just a second. One thing we did notice today on the VB itself, the barge, the maintenance barge, had been moved from the offshore side of the VB to the inshore side. I think this is actually the starboard side. But the offshore block was back hanging, and now the inshore block is down on the deck of that maintenance barge. I guess as they go through some inspections, looking at that equipment and making whatever repairs are necessary to that cutting part. Here's a quick glimpse. We can see that cutting block is hanging there, and we can see some of the equipment that's lining the side of the VB. And then the other side, this is the inshore side. Of course, this is the work barge. It's got those small cranes and a little aerial man lift on it. And we see the cables coming down and the block on the deck of that maintenance barge. And it looks like they're shifting their attention to that side of the cutting rig. And another shot of the now hanging cutting block on the offshore side of the rig. Now, once we get around to the offshore side of the wreck site, and environmental boats again out on the site, and one thing we did notice today, not seeing as much product coming off the ship site today. I don't know whether to attribute that to them not cutting or a more effective job of the environmental barrier, or the conditions today, as you can tell from the video, were much more pleasant, not near as rough as we've seen out there over the past week or so. Maybe that had something to do with it. But not as much product coming off the ship, and that is a happy thing to report today. Now, what's going on top of that ship? Well, as we got around, we started zooming in, and then we actually got in and kind of edited some of these pictures, and so we could really zoom in on some of the stuff. But we could see what appeared to be some welding machines, some acetylene tanks for cutting metal, a number of generators, both large and small, work lights, massive work box, I mean, almost like the size of a shipping container up on top of the ship. Lots of goodies up on the ship as they start this process of working on reinforcing these lugs that make up the lifting system for these sections. Now, you know, we saw a lot of this same type of material when they were fastening the lugs very early on in the project, setting those big systems with that Pacific Horizon crane that's currently over in the Port of Brunswick. But the more we look, it looks like an air compressor there, just all kinds of equipment that has been placed up on top of that ship, and it's really looks to us like it is going to be quite a project, doing this welding and strengthening of the deck, if you will, of which was actually the side of the ship. And that's a concern, you know, that these ro-ros, these roll-on, roll-off ships, as you get to the top of the ship, they're not near as thick. The material there is not near as thick as what makes up the hull sections of these vessels. In some places, you know, from what we understand, the top of this thing is merely a 1/4-inch steel. It is nothing more than a protective cover to keep the sea spray off the vehicles while they're transported aboard the ship. So it's already kind of a delicate structure as you get to the top of the ship, and then to think that this is all these systems are welded on top of this to lift these massive amounts of not only the ship, but you got to think that cargo that's still in there, and then also add on the fact that since it's been sitting here since September back in 2019, it has been filling with silt material out of the water here in the St. Simons Sound. The sediment here is pretty heavy, and as it collects, it adds a lot of additional weight. So all this equipment, I guess, is necessary to take care of getting all this lifting system strengthened and ready for the lift once these sections are cut. And we can't imagine them cutting with any work going on up here. It's hard for us to imagine that doing any kind of cutting on the ship while all this is going on. Well, it looks like a good time for a break for us. We're going to be out for a few days. We'll have folks monitoring the ship, and we will probably kind of cut back on our reports until we start to see more activity going on. We'll still bring some reports in here just to kind of keep you up to date, but maybe not on a daily basis until we see a little bit more activity going on out there. Well, hey, that's going to do it for the report. I'd like to appreciate you guys and thank you for watching. We're going to ask you to hit that subscribe button, send us some comments, and most of all, we want you guys to stay safe out there.